Hello, fellow watchers and enjoyers. Piggy, hello, that's me. Um, you should see currently there should be lovely pink voice sound thingy. When I speak, there should be lovely pink and a picture of Willie, not my Willie, but Willie the pug. And you may be wondering who is in the blue corner. Well, it is Ash from Watching Walford. Hello, Ash the
It's
seal.
me. Hello.
The best person I know.
Oh, wait, sorry, I have a new one. Naff off. There we are.
Is that what Mark Fowler kept saying?
Yeah, he kept saying naff off, which I've never seen as a phrase, but I'm stealing it.
I know, like, I don't want to start it off in a depressing note, but that poor actor who played Mark Fowler, obviously, I haven't watched 1985 EastEnders like before. I've seen clips of it, so I just thought the Mark Fowler character just he changed, like the actor's face just changed.
He just grew up.
But yeah, he just grew up, and then I was like, okay, so there's two actors who played Mark Fowler up until the original one. So okay, and then I was like, found at bottom of cliff. I was like, okay, what was you doing on the cliff? And then I was like, suicide. And I was like, bollocks. Jesus. Like they don't even sugarcoat it. They're just like suicide, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize that that's how he left. But like, I mean, the one thing we can kind of see, it's just the Mark Fowler character was I don't think they ever fully realized what to do with him. So obviously we can see in some of these episodes he's a bit more like a wayward son type character. Like he's kind of he doesn't really know what to do. He's a bit lost. He's easily like manipulated. So yeah, it's kind of it's a shame how the actor went, obviously. But yeah, it's Mark Fowler. I don't know. I didn't know how to wrap it up. Carry on, Piggy.
Matt, yeah, it's just like I understand we won't really be talking about real life when it comes to this. Obviously, we will for certain episodes, like the infamous Dirty Den getting shot into the canal. Well, not getting shot into the canal, getting shot. Yes. And basically the writer's going, fuck off, you can't have him. And they're like, we want him.
Underneath his clothes, he had a bloody scuba suit on, swimming.
But like, obviously we'll butt in about real life. But I just thought I'd mention it because, and a bit of a spoiler, Mark Fowler is one of the first characters to leave the square. I think he's probably the first. From what I've read, he leaves in like April '85, I think.
Yeah.
He comes back obviously in '86 and '87, but like he's not going to be here throughout '85. He's only here for a stint.
Yeah, like honestly. Not to kind of take away, because obviously, you know, we don't want to do a bit like tell too much of what actually happens, but you know, it's kind of, as I just kind of briefly alluded to, Mark Fowler didn't really have much direction in the early years of EastEnders, and it's only when he got recast that they kind of figured out like what to do with him. So
I do think he shouldn't have been killed off in like off screen. I do think he should have had an on-screen death. I understand, like...
For sure.
Politics, probably.
I think it was... I do believe it was kind of... It was around 2001, I believe, they changed producers. And that producer... I could be mixing this up with Coronation Street, but I'm pretty sure that producer was like, I've killed everyone off. It's like, what? Why? Could be entirely making that up, but you know. As far as I remember from rumblings.
Like, I believe he's the same writer who killed off Den, which obviously we know why they killed off Den. You can't really have him on screen. So, just to bring that up again, you can't really have him on screen when he's shitting on your actors and like saying they're all shit. He's the GOAT. Like, he's the GOAT! The GOAT! But yeah. It's just, we're going to see a lot of changes throughout the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. If we even get to the 2000s, because we will be doing 85 to 90, but we don't know if we'll be doing 90 to like 2005. If that makes sense. But The one thing I will say before we get into it, it is amazing. Like, if you look at the 80s, you look at their sets, it's like unpolished. I'm not saying like it was unfinished. It's obviously finished, but like it looks like it's unpolished.
Oh, it's
rough around the
dingy
edges.
as fuck. Like, it's absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous how just the conditions were terrible back in the day.
And then you move to the 90s and you get this massive phone, a
It's
massive
like-
white phone on a box, like in the middle of the pub.
Like, the one thing, obviously, I don't want to talk too much about this because obviously we can't just be like, well, it's the second episode of Classic EastEnders, but also I want to talk about this random thing that happened in 94. Obviously, we'll wait our time for when we actually talk about a lot of these topics. But it's so bizarre how it kind of went, because I'm not saying EastEnders is particularly dark in and these times currently, like in 85. But like, you know, as we'll see later, Mary the Punk nearly got bloody pimped out. People like struggling with drugs. Like, it's a lot more realistic as such, especially in comparison to current EastEnders, because, you know, if someone has a drug problem in current EastEnders, they have a drug problem for a week and then they forget about them for another 2 weeks and then suddenly, oh, they're still on drugs. Like, what is going on here?
But yeah, we will obviously talk about Mary the Punk being pimped out. I guess you could call her Mary the Pimp. We'll obviously talk about that further down the line in this podcast episode. But without further ado, there should be a classic intro that I already played. You've probably seen it. Anyone can fall in love. That's not hard to do, unless you're Angie and then you're an alcoholic.
Yeah, she struggles to
you try and
fall
shag
in love.
everyone. And you die off screen, and then your husband comes back, sticks his finger in his mouth, and has fun. Anyways, we'll be diving into the early years of EastEnders. Again, I will always bring it up until we get to like 94. There is currently only 2 episodes a week of classic EastEnders, so we're doing two weeks of 2 episodes for 2 weeks. Does that make sense? So we're doing like
there's essentially there is 4 episodes in like over 2 weeks. It's not like modern EastEnders where it's 4 a week.
And then obviously, again, I'll allude to it every week. In 94 or 93, they changed to 3 episodes. So we will obviously, that's further down the line. We will obviously then discuss that off camera when we get to that era, that year. But yeah, what are the 4 main topics? Well, we're all going on a summer holiday as we get our thongs or mankinis or bikinis. It's the 80s, you probably can't wear a bikini if you're a man because that's gay.
Probably can't wear a mankini either. Draw a lot of attention.
Yeah, especially since the war just happened. The Fowlers have obviously bought Louie and a surprise guest tickets away for a lovely weekend away in a caravan. Obviously they're not staying in a caravan. I just thought it'd be funny, like, imagine Lou Beale sleeping in a caravan with like their special pet.
Yeah, obviously they are heading to Clacton. I'd like to believe that it's a fairly known EastEnders spot because, you know, it's like it's in Essex. It's like it's on the sea. You know, it's a coast town. It's a coast town, and you know you don't want to move. You don't want to go that far. Like, if you live in London, you're not going down to Cornwall to go to the beach. You're just going to go like on the coast. So it's just kind of funny.
Obviously, the next topic will be Mark Fowler gets in trouble by the policeman. I'm not going to go into much detail about that. Then we have Mary the Punk's breakdown. Not going to go into much detail about that until later on. And introduction. And finally, we have Tony Carpenter's brush against the law because he's black. This is essentially it.
And the introduction of his son, Kelvin.
Yeah. Who is a bit of an idiot. A tiny bit.
Bit of an idiot. Nick Cotton went, "Do you want some tools?" I'd be like, yeah, hold on. Let me just go grab my purse. Fucking sprinting away.
like I understand people might go, "Well, you're fucking racist, saying he's an idiot." No, you just don't trust Nick Cotton.
I mean, he is a racist, so.
Nick, yeah, he is a racist.
And you still don't trust him.
Yeah, but yeah, what will we dive into first? We'll dive into Lou Beale getting her bikini on, going on the beach, clapping them cheeks. She's probably dead now, so she can't really clap cheeks. But anyways, this is 85. She can do what she likes. Why is Lou Beale going on a holiday? Well, I'll tell you what. They basically, since this is pre-watershed, they can't say the words they want to say. But if this is post-watershed, it's basically, look, you old bitch. Go out there, enjoy the beach, you old fuck.
Naff off.
But naff off. Basically, that's what they want. They want a break from Lou Beale. And I'm going to be honest. If you live with a contrary woman, who's lived through the war, I would also kind of want a holiday. Not like saying Lou Beale has every right to complain. She does, but like
you definitely want a break at some point. Like,
yeah, she's constantly nagging about like the prices of cabbages because they're gone up 5p, I should say, not 5 cents. That's euros. Then like you kind of get sick of it, like. Like, oh, the pints have gone up 5p. God damn, Margaret Thatcher's England. I tell you what, bloody ruined the country. Wait till you see Brexit, Lou. Wait till you see Brexit.
Honestly, so I don't know. I want to just fully wrap my head around this, mostly just because I do. Obviously, we're both pretty open. Lou Beale is honestly one of my favorite EastEnders characters ever. She's so good. She's that fucking annoying nan that you can't help but fucking hate 90% of that time. But like when family is important, she's like, I got you. All right, don't you fucking worry. We'll get into that more in a little bit. But like, she is such an annoying bastard. But she loves her family. That's what she does it for. Like, she loves them. She wants the family to be safe and looked after. That's what she wanted. That's what she always wants. But she ain't half gonna fucking tell you how much effort it is.
Yeah, like, let's be honest, like, obviously, who is a surprise guest? It's Michelle Fowler.
Yes.
Also
fantastic. Love Michelle, personally.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen the recast of Michelle, but I've seen the original. Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not.
Obviously, seeing the original Michelle Fowler, I have a little crush on her. Gonna lie.
Nice.
Nice. To the age I can. I think she's a legal age.
Well, I don't know. We're allowed crushes here.
Look, it's being produced by the BBC and there's a current host in the 80s that's taking over television. So I think I can have my crush on a 16-year-old, but he's a crush on a 10-year-old and a mentally disabled woman who can barely think how she farts. Like, let me have this.
I will agree. Michelle Fowler's an absolute gem. Yeah, carry on.
Anyways, what I was going to say is, like, I understand they're going to Clapton. So it's basically Clapton.
I think it's Clack. But it's
Clacton.
I believe so. Could be Clapton though. Clacton with a C.
Clacton.
Yes.
My accent can't do that. Clacton. Obviously they're not going in a caravan, but could you imagine Lou and Michelle Fowler in a caravan? Or is it 2 weeks they're going away, or just a weekend?
I don't remember, but like, oh good lord, she'd be yelling at everyone for everything. It'd be fantastic.
Like, could you imagine being in that? Like, I'm not on about a big, massive caravan. I'm on about like a dinky little caravan that you see on the M50.
There's only one bed. Like, it's you gotta share. The cooker doesn't work. You have to use the microwave. Just, oh god.
And like you come, and I'm not saying that Luby is a big woman, but like you'll have to like squeeze in and out, like you can barely move, like your leg gets caught on the cooker. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, could you imagine that imagine sharing that little caravan with Luby? It's like the father.
Oh mate, honestly.
It's like the Father Ted one where where Father Ted, and I forget who fucking Graham Norton played, but there was an amazing scene where Graham Norton, I forget who plays, he brings a bunch of lads into this dinky little caravan with Ted, and he keeps telling ghost stories to Ted, and Ted's like, I want to sleep. And he's like, Ted, let's sing a song. Let's sing a song.
Just leave me lonely.
Like, I understand this predates Father Ted, but it's arguably one of the best British TV shows, and people are going to argue with me in the comments. I know Father Ted is Irish, yes, but here's the problem. Father Ted was originally pitched to RTE, and I'm not making this up, they were originally pitched to RTE, who responded, the Catholic Church would not be happy. So they went, fuck this, we're going to Channel 4.
That's fucking absurd. Holy shit.
It was something along the lines of, we can't produce this because it makes fun of Catholics.
That's actually incredible, like.
And then basically the two writers, and I think one of them's a massive transphobe, I think.
Yeah, usually are.
Because he went to produce the IT Crowd, and
yes,
he had a character beat up a trans woman for some reason. But anyways, they basically went to Channel 4 and were like, we have this show about cats where we have 3 priests on an island, and they're basically funny people. One of them is a drunk, it's just an alcoholic pervert, and they were like, fuck it, we'll produce it. So it technically is a British TV show. Even though it has Irish actors, it is technically British. Like, no matter what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Mrs. Brown, she's not technically Irish. It's produced by the BBC.
Yeah, but you can have her, though.
No, but you can have her.
Yeah, but she's Irish, isn't she? It's not much.
No, wait, you can claim
No, hold on. We can reach a solution. Northern Irish. Fucking pricks! Fuck 'em! Fuck 'em!
As you can tell, we're not a big fan of what's his name? I forget his name. I don't know his name. I'm a big fan of the actor himself who plays Mrs. Brown, but I'm not a fan of Mrs. Brown because it's just lowbrow humor.
Oh,
it's like it's not something you watch. It's something you watch when you're in your 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
Like, and you laugh and you go, look at that man dressed as a woman. Ha ha ha! Isn't that hilarious? Look at them gigolos. Like, oh, great. But anyways, yeah, this is about classic EastEnders, not us ranting about why we hate Mrs. Brown's Boys. Even though the movie's good. The movie is good, I will give them credit.
Never watched it. Carry on.
I had the movie on DVD, watched it multiple times.
I suppose the main issue with Miss Brown's Boys is that fucking everybody was suddenly like, oh, it's really funny, I like that TV show. And it's like, oh, fuck off. Everybody had like that one box set, like seasons 1 to 4 or something. I like Miss Brown's Boys. It's funny. It's not though, is it? It's really funny.
I will say there was a version that was produced without the RTE and BBC, and that's actually good.
Oh, okay. So it got watered down.
Yes, it was actually good. If I can find the DVD, you could probably find them online. But there was a TV show. It was straight to DVD, and it was picked up by some company, and basically they produced the original Mrs. Brown's Boys, and then it was pitched. Then the BBC must have picked it up and went, we'll produce it, and then RTE just got the rights as well. It's kind of like EastEnders as well, where even though the BBC produces it, RTE airs it because exclusive rights and shit. Because you can't get BBC, I don't think you can get BBC One on Freeview over here. You can only get it on like your Sky or your Airbox, like, you know what I mean?
Alright, let's carry on.
Anyways, yeah, because you imagine just sharing a caravan with Lou Beer, though.
Oh, mate, honestly, the worst. Like,
And
you would have fun. Like, the main issue is a lot of the old people is that they do have some fucking fantastic stories. Like you spend a couple days listening to them, and like you will learn shit. You'll learn shit. You have some incredible stories, but just to get to those moments, oh fucking hell, Lou Beals, fuck off. I love her so much, but I couldn't deal with her.
no,
I suppose do you
like,
want to actually
yeah,
get into some of the storyline as to why they're sending her off on a holiday and some of the stuff that the Fowlers did this week.
because they're sending her away. I think it's brilliant. They're basically sending her away on a holiday to basically go, look, I think it's basically like, look, we want to make you happy, basically. I know you're not happy about us having a child who's later revealed to be Martin Fowler. So, like, we just want to send you on this holiday. And for the shits and giggles, we'll rope in Michelle Fowler as well. And Michelle's like, what?
Fuck
It's
off.
like it's like when you're at a house party and basically a guy you do not know comes up to you and goes, "We're leaving," and you're like,
What?
"Wait, what? Why
I've
us?"
got a body
I
in the
barely-
trunk. We're leaving. Oh, fucking hell. All right. Jesus. I guess we got no
Oh,
choice then.
basically like that. The Fowlers try everything to win.
To win her over for
Well,
sure.
yeah, to win her over. Lou even talks to Ethel, and I think Ethel would go, but she'd have to bring Willie. Like, she
Yeah.
can't go without Willie.
And basically, the funniest bit is obviously fucking Lou knows about this holiday, and she's just like playing it coy, like, you what? Going on holiday in this economy? There we are. That's what Lou Beale sounds like. That's an impression I have. But like, you know, she knows she wants to go on this holiday, but she's not letting them know. She's not saying she wants to go. She's letting them sweat. And like, she even tells Lou, like, or she even tells Ethel rather, like, oh yeah, come to this Sunday brunch. They're gonna like feed us. They're gonna make us drink. They're gonna feed us with food, and then like they're gonna try and get me on side. Like, she knows the whole time. She's just playing them. Oh, it's the wonderful stuff.
I do wish Ethel would go with, like...
Oh, mate, honestly, if they sent them in like a caravan, like on a road trip down the fucking coast, the scenes, like, yeah, it'd be so good.
They should have done that as like, they should have done that like for children in need, or like whatever that was. That would have been a brilliant. That would have been a brilliant children's in need. Just Lou and Ethel pissed out of their mind. Willie sat in the chair, like, just telling stories about the war.
Honestly, I'm not ready for... I know that Ethel stays a lot longer than Lou Beale does. But I'm not ready for Lou to go at all. I know we've got a good, like, couple years. But fuck, she's so good. And we'll get onto it more when we talk about the Mark Fowler stuff. But there's a scene that I really love that kind of shows off why she's so cool a character. But yeah, essentially, just to summarize this one more time, they decided, how can we get Mum on side? Fucking send her down to fucking Clacton so she can just shut up. Give us a week to chill, and we'll be fine. And hopefully by the time she gets back, she will not give as much of a shit about the baby. She will. She definitely will. But man alive, this one have thing. It's also like she's like, who's paying for it? And then Pauline's like, yeah, it's, you know, Pete and Kathy, Arthur and me. And it's like, and she's just like, yeah, you got 2 pennies to rub together. It's fucking... Oh, it's all Pete then. Lovely. It's just so good. It's so perfect. I love it all in the veins.
Did Piggy get killed off, or did he just leave?
He got killed off, I believe. Because obviously we later learn that he's got a bit more left in 93.
Killed off screen.
Yes.
I'd assume.
Yes. That's a shame. Well, they just axed him, didn't they?
Well, maybe they can bring him back, like.
Yeah. Nah, it kind of shaped everyone too much. Also, the Beals are pretty, like, low on their feet anyways, so. But yeah, I suppose, do we want to, is there anything else that we have to add to this, or should we just carry on with the next topic, Biggie?
Well, we'll carry on, because this moves into topic number 2. Choo choo in the caravan, choo choo. Mark Fowler gets in trouble as the policeman. Basically, to give a little context to this, the policeman, I think his name's Reg as well. I think
it's like Tommy Rich or something.
Oh, I thought it was Reg. Basically, I'll call him Richie. Richie basically.
Apparently, that's a pro wrestler. Who the fuck knows?
What?
Tommy Rich is a pro wrestler. I know the actor's name. I don't know the fucking. I swear it's Nick White. But carry on. I'll check this up. It doesn't matter.
Basically, Richie, as I'll call him until I get corrected, he basically notices Lofty has a badge, a German badge. I don't know if it's from the war or not from the war.
It does have a swastika on it.
It does have a swastika on it, does it?
Yes.
So it is from the war.
Yes.
It might be pre-World War II because the swastika
It's one of Reg's Nazi war badges.
Wait, he was a Nazi?
No, but you take some heirlooms, right? Take some trophies.
So you're telling me in the context of EastEnders, he was on the battlefield, right? So say it's Dan on the other side. Dan the Nazi.
I'm not saying he was looting the corpses, but I'm sure he got medals for serving in the war against the Nazis,
Like, I'm just imagining he starts shooting Dan the Nazi, like, and he's like, "Oh fuck, he's dead. Better take his badge."
Look at that fucking badge, like. But yeah, what's the next topic? Did you say, Piggy?
Mark Fowler gets in trouble by the police. Basically, what I was saying beforehand is Lofty has a badge that has a swastika on it. Now it's the 80s, so like obviously PC culture. Well, there was politically correct, but obviously like it's the 80s. It's still post World War II.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's in 2020 and the man's just going around with a Nazi badge. Like obviously that would be wrong today.
Yes.
But obviously since this is the 80s, you want to show off this Nazi badge. Basically.
Yeah, I mean Lofty thinks it's cool.
Killed him.
He thinks it's a cool little war badge. It makes him look cool. I don't know why. Obviously, me looking at it, I'd be like, I wouldn't wear that shit. But obviously, it's a different time. I'm not walking around with a fucking swastika on my chest. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you're Prince Harry, like then it's all good.
Yeah. But yeah,
was it Harry?
I don't know. He dressed up as a Nazi for Halloween. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, carry on. What happened with Mark Fowler?
Basically, so this leads to Mr. Richie or Reggie.
I don't remember what the fuck he's called.
Basically, he nicks the badge off Lofty and he bangs on. Well, he doesn't bang. He walks in on Lou Beale, Arthur Fowler, Michelle Fowler, Pauline Fowler, and Lou Beale, obviously. And Mark is sat in a chair. He comes in. The big duff is, "What are you doing with this badge, mate?" Basically, to sum it up in our slang. And then we cut back the following day. "What are you doing with this badge?" "I don't know. I found it." "Where did you find it?" "In a skip." "Stop telling me lies, Mark. Where did you find it?" "I found it in a skip." "Stop telling me lies, you little shit. Where did you find it?" "I found it in a skip, you fucker. What do you not understand?" So basically they have a row, the policeman and Mark, because the policeman does not believe that Mark Fowler took it from a skip, even though he did. And basically, from what I gather is Nick took it from Reg and then sold it to Mark, and then Mark obviously sold it to Lofty. It's my guess.
Something like that. Yeah, hold on.
Basically, Lou Beale then turns into, she turns into a Tony Wanoki and basically grabs the policeman, tells him to get out of the house, get out of my house, and basically fucks him at the house, which then he goes banging on Tony Carpenter's door. And I'm like, he wouldn't be sleeping in there. He'd probably be sleeping in his van.
Yeah, he's in his van. Yeah, one thing I just want to say about this scene. This scene is why everybody talks about family being important in EastEnders. Because the second the policeman comes around, Lou Beale is on it like a fucking shot. Oh, he's not a liar. Just absolutely just laying into this copper. No fucking care in the world whatsoever. Absolutely just like leathering this copper with all of the abuse possible. And like I said, this is why Lou Beale is kept around. Like, this is why she isn't just in a home somewhere. Just fuck off. Because the second that like she needs to step up, she's like, don't you fucking dare. And it's just really good.
Before I get on, I do want to say, I understand we're still in post-World War II. Obviously, people look over, we're obviously still in post-World War II. Yes, but the difference was the 80s were still like clinging on to the 40s compared to now we're clinging on to the 90s. And the early 2000s.
Yes.
And then there's still people clinging on to the 80s going, look, Jimmy Savile was a nice person. And you're like, shut up, mate. You don't have an opinion in this. But anyways, there are still people clinging on to the past. And you just have to move on. But yeah, it's different in the 80s. You're clinging on to a war that nearly killed the entire world. Like, but I do love it. I do love it because Ethel's like, a German killed him. And I'm like, Ethel. Oh, I love you, Ethel. She immediately thinks...
She starts causing rumours. There's old Ethel. Oh, shit, there's a German badge. Not bloody... Oh, I think it was a German. World War After the war, World War II. It's because Reg was looting the corpses. That's my fucking badge, Lee. Give me that badge back, you bastard.
I don't know why, but my mind meant to fucking Hitler showed up. Old Australian painter showed up and fucking injected poison into Reg Cobb and killed him.
Jesus.
He just shows up and goes, "Nine, that's my badge, you fucker."
Honestly, listen, this is all your words, not mine. I'm not doing an impression of bloody Hitler, so you know what, I'm good. Whatever gets your rocks off there, piggy.
I don't know why my mind instantly went to Hitler came back and killed Reg Cox.
Alright, so Mark Fowler's in trouble. I'm just going to go through this a little bit more. Mark has been hanging around with some dodgy people. Like in the second or third Duff of the week, Mark decides and essentially goes, alright, Nick, fuck school, fuck work, I'm gonna hang out with you. Nick lights a cigarette, and obviously now Mark is on like the downward trajectory. He's going down a weird path. As we'll see, I mean, the actor's off. You know, the actor is basically Mark Fowler leaves fairly soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to talk too far ahead, but it's seemingly like apparently one thing that was mentioned is that the actor was supposed to like be racist to Kelvin, who we'll note on later. But the actor just went, nah, I'm not doing that. And that kind of made them go, you know what, maybe we don't, maybe this could have like, where is this? yeah, essentially in 98, they kind of went, let's not do this. But ultimately, yeah, I read that he went, I don't want to abuse Kelvin. So a lot of these stories suggest, basically, a lot of these stories, Mark was supposed to be a really big character, essentially. He was supposed to be one of the key characters in 1985. But they do note that the first 50+ scripts were reworked to accommodate this major change. Many of the stories intended for Mark were subsequently given to Kelvin Carpenter, Ian Beale, and Michelle Fowler. And essentially, which partially explains why a character became so prominent in the first year. Because several of Mark's functions in the serial, as the slightly eldest of the youngsters, could not have been taken over by the others. Another character needed to be introduced to restore its balance to its original shape. Is why the character of Simon Wicks was introduced later in 1985. Yeah, so that's a big dump of interesting information. So just to kind of summarize, Mark was supposed to be a big character of classic EastEnders, but I don't know if the actor was just too young to like take over the role properly, or it was just kind of like she just couldn't settle. So that's kind of, it would make sense as to why we'll later see. I mean, we're in March now, anyways, right? Doesn't he? I'm pretty sure he leaves in March, so he is off soon. He leaves in April, so he's gone soon. And yeah, essentially, he's decided to follow Nick Cotton. Nick Cotton continuing to be a bit of a villain, obviously making some racist remarks to literally every minority in the square. I wonder what kind of dodgy stuff he's doing. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Piggy, anything else you got to add to Mark Fowler being in trouble?
Like, obviously, like, it's like, obviously, I'll compare it to wrestling. It's like when your favorite wrestler is supposed to get a push and then all of a sudden they're dead. It's just like that on EastEnders. I could tell Mark Fowler was supposed to be a big character because I can see they're writing him in that way.
Yeah.
And then the actor just meant, fuck off. And he left. And I think the actor might have had demons. I don't want to speculate on that because obviously he's been dead for nearly 40 years.
Yeah.
But my speculation is he had demons off camera and that eventually the demons won.
There was a lot of struggle there.
He does obviously return in 86 and 87, but we're not in 86 or 87. But like you'll only be seeing Mark like pop up in and out throughout the 80s. And then subsequently, when the actor dies in 88, they don't bring him back until 1990. So yeah, you're gonna very rarely hear us talk about Mark Fowler in a positive light. Not, I don't want to say in a positive light. What? You wouldn't hear us talk about him in a positive light. I'm saying you won't really hear us talk about Mark Fowler that often because obviously he's
not on the show.
Yeah, he's in and out.
Yeah. And honestly, I suppose since there's not really too much talk about him being in trouble, obviously he is suspected of like being involved in Reg's death because he sold Lofty the swastika badge. And when questioned, obviously Lou Beale like went after the copper. But ultimately he's still going down a pretty dark path, doing some dodgy things with Nick, and likely gonna be led astray. I will just say, honestly, I'm quite happy for the other like actors and actresses to get a lot more of the roles, because Michelle Fowler's fucking amazing, and the actress does a really good job. And like Kelvin and Ian too, they both get a lot of like fun work to play with. Obviously, I don't know if it's a famous episode, but we will make it a famous episode where Ian and Kelvin have to wash Willie. That episode's getting a standalone video itself. It's incredible. It's some of like top EastEnders comedy. But I think arguably it probably was the right choice. But I can't judge from how well the actor did from the minimal we've seen of Mark Fowler. But I just think a lot of the other actors are also up to the challenge. So, yeah, there's not really much to add to this as far as I'm concerned. How about you, Piggy?
Obviously, I do think the original. I'm not like discrediting the original Mark Fowler, but obviously, when you think of Mark Fowler, you think of his recast.
Yes.
So it is very weird. It is very weird to see him in '85. He has like full hair, like, and then you see him in 1990 and he's a bit old, and he's a bit balding,
aged about 30 years.
And then like they have to kind of write in, oh, he has HIV, and you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah, Mark Fowler didn't really have the best of times, but it's probably one of the first examples of like behind the scenes shuffling needing to be done. It's quite interesting.
So is Mark Fowler gay or bisexual?
No.
Then how the fuck did he get HIV?
I mean, Peggy, we covered a HIV storyline on.
Oh yeah.
You don't need to be gay to get HIV.
Look, I'm in the 80s. Let me just appeal to the audience.
Have you fucking have your, like he contracted HIV from Jill Robinson, his girlfriend, who also had HIV, and this progressed to AIDS.
Oh.
You don't need to have sex with men to get HIV. We did a whole storyline about this on the actual show, for fuck's sake. Honestly.
Yeah, I was just appealing to the 80s fans. Obviously, I think we have enough to say about Mark Fowler. What do you think?
Nah, not too much. I already said all I did.
That's what I said.
Shame that you didn't get to do more, but seemingly there were some issues, so you got to work with what we get. So ultimately, not too much to add. What's the next storyline? I
am going to move on to a side storyline where Mary the Punk is introduced.
Oh.
So Mary the Punk, who is Mary Smith? That's her name, Mary Smith, I believe. Doing a bit of research on her earlier on. When I googled Mary Smith, right, just to sidetrack, it said that Mary died. Like the actress who played Mary. I was like, no, she didn't.
She did not.
And then it was a completely different woman named Mary something. Mary something. And I was like, oh, who? She died of breast cancer? And I was like, no, Mary the Punk didn't die. I'm like, she didn't get recast, did she? I was so confused for about a good 5 minutes. But yeah, who is Mary the Punk? Mary the Punk is a lady, obviously. She might be a man, we don't know. But she gave birth, so I'd assume she's a woman. What is her role? She is basically, I think, angsty. She's supposed to be a cool rebel against the scene. Rock out, man, rock out. I mean,
she is an example of, like, the failed system, Like, I know, like, edgy, angsty teen, a punk against the authority in a world that probably has rejected her.
Yes.
I found quite an interesting insight from EastEnders, The Inside Story. I didn't find it, but EastEnders told me. I do have the book. I could just pull it out, like, one of these days. But yeah. It says, age 19, Mary was brought up in Stockport. That's Manchester. Note that she's northern. Everybody else is like southern, like London. Well, yeah, southern, like Londoners, So that immediately sets her apart from everybody else because, she's got that Manchester accent. Her parents were Irish Catholics. Her father was a long-distance lorry driver. When she left school, Mary could hardly read or write. She didn't learn because she didn't want to. She gave no trouble, no aggro, but no one took notice of her. Her mother nagged her about her soul. At 15, she went to a gig with a crowd of people from school, and in one night, her life changed. She fell in love with a band, a man, and a culture. She found her own religion. She became pregnant, semi-literate, unskilled, and at the same time ashamed. She couldn't go back to the oppressive society of her childhood where everybody judged everybody and where she would just be labelled, even by her own mother, as a loose woman. She wouldn't have an abortion. She drifted into our area and became one of the single-parent families that congregate there. Will she be a survivor or a loser? Over the months, she may develop a fear of authority. Maybe she'll be forced to drift into a life of prostitution. Jesus Christ, that's fucking dire. Like, good lord. That's one hell of a backstory.
Me.
Obviously, one of her storylines was prostitution. Later on.
We'll get on to that. Obviously, I'm a fan of Mary the Punk.
Of course.
I want to see her daughter return to the square. I know there's nothing for her to return, but it's kind of bringing the legacy forward. Does that make sense? Like, even if she's just there for 2 or 3 years, I would love to see it, because, like, I do want old characters, like children that we see currently in the 80s and 90s, to come back in nowadays.
Yeah.
Because it would be cool. Like, if Ethel had children on the show, or she had them during World War II, it would be cool to see them come back now as old people.
I would really... Like, obviously, you can never redo Ethel. You can never remake Ethel. But, like, I suppose... before we go into this, like, tangent, I know it's your show, but I would like to get into some of, like, the actual introduction of Mary. But just kind of quickly, on my point, so many of the 80s characters are so underrepresented at this point. Like, there's so many, like, amazing characters that you never see again. Like, most of them were written off in the 80s, and, like, we never fucking touched them. You know, like, mate, honestly, Tony Carpenter's fucking badass. He's amazing. He's such a cool character. He stands up for what he believes is right. Like, mate, honestly, there's so many cool characters that you could bring back from the 80s. It's just whether it's the right time, you know? Will people remember 80s EastEnders? Will people even like it? Hopefully they do, because, well, if they don't like it, this podcast's fucked. Carry on.
Basically, Mary the Punk is a reject from society, to put it lightly. We obviously got an introduction by Ash. She tries her best, basically, but it's hard being a single mother in the 80s, because you still do have the Catholic Church. I don't know if they were ruling England, but they're still pretty much in control.
I mean, like, yeah, she's a wayward kid from, like, parents who rejected her, and now has to raise a baby by herself in, like, the East End of London, which is notoriously, like, terrible conditions. She's just moved into Reg Cox's flat. The dead Reg Cox, who was just there about, a couple days ago. And it's like, there's mold everywhere, it's damp, it's a mess. Like, you couldn't bring up a kid in this. But, like, you can't rehouse her either, as the woman said. So, it's absolutely wild. But, yeah, she is quite angsty.
Basically, like, this character would have fit right in the early 90s, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not saying it's a bit too early. Obviously, they can't know the future. Well, we know the future. They didn't. Because we're currently in 2023 at the time of recording.
Wow.
Obviously, if you're in 2024, you know the future. What?
I said fun fact.
Obviously, again, if you're in 2024, you obviously know who dies at Christmas. You know if Ethel comes back alive and turns into a lesbian.
If Suki and Eve ever finally get together again. Yeah,
you know it, we don't. Cindy kills him, probably, again. You know it, we don't. But yeah, obviously they didn't know the future, and looking back at it, we know the future. So, like, she would have fit right in with the Nirvana, like, people, like Nirvana, the grunge era. She would
Yeah,
fit right in.
for sure.
I'm not saying the 80s weren't really a rebel against culture, but like the 80s were more like rock. They
Well, the
weren't
80s were just
grunge.
fucking surviving.
Yeah.
You didn't
And then
really
the
have
90s
time to
were,
rebel.
yeah, the 90s were a time to rebel because obviously you had like Nirvana, I forget the other bands. There was a lot of grunge bands.
Grunge, yes.
Sadgasm for Simpsons fans. Um, Basically, Sadgasm is a take on Nirvana. It's so funny. Uh, and then obviously in the later 90s you have wild TV shows. You have like Jerry Springer, Jeremy Collins, early 2000s. Jerry Springer. You have all them TV shows. Of course, in wrestling you have like this weird boom where WWF is like kicking WCW's ass, and WCW is like, how can we rebel against WWF? I know, Hulk Hogan in the main event, who can barely wrestle. So it's just so weird throughout the 90s, where 90s is basically rebel against the system, and the 80s are like, God Jesus, put us out of our misery, please. Please. Take that shotgun, put it in my mouth, and blow my brains out, because I'm in the 80s. Like, that's basically the 80s.
Mary is introduced, obviously, you know, she's got like the wild hair. She's got like really cool eyeshadow. I like the eyeshadow. You know, big hair, very like alt look, you know, like punk look for sure. She's introduced, you see her with a baby Annie, who she does care for and she tries, but it is very hard being a single mum alone by yourself in the 80s. And obviously she tries to care for Annie, but it's hard. She does slightly neglect her, a little bit, but is also very worried because obviously the baby was premature. So, you know, that's all she knows. She doesn't really know what that means, but is still worried because it could be like some genuine complications there. So it's just kind of interesting to see. She kind of makes friends with Ali, obviously Ali Osman, like owner of the calf. But otherwise, she mostly just sticks to herself. And we'll soon later see just who she like picks as friends. So,
obviously, I was a premature baby. I was
Me
supposed to be
too.
born in. I was supposed to be born in February or March of 2004, and I was born in December 2003.
Yeah. I mean, likewise, mate. I was supposed to be born in December. I was born in October, so.
You were born in Wales.
I was born in Wales, I was, yes, but
I grew up in the valleys.
not quite.
I was the first man to bring back avocado on toast.
I did not. You just gone Irish again. I don't like avocado on toast, bud. I don't know what that is. That's just.
I was the first person in the valleys. I tell you that, man.
All right,
I tell you that.
Stop insulting the Welsh. They've had it. They've been through enough.
Yeah, you sheep shaggers. Yeah, so basically Mary the Punk again is a rebel. Kind of bit weird to put her in 85, like if it was 1990 or 91, 92, I'd understand, with Radiohead, Nirvana, Green Day, like that kind of sort of thing. Oasis as well. I know Oasis don't really fit into that category, but let's be honest, they were pretty much a band. So yeah, fuck them.
All right.
So yeah, so like obviously she has a breakdown because this is just, I'm gonna basically put her 3 sections together and just squish them together, if that's all right with you.
Yes.
So basically we see her introduction. Someone basically delivers her to her new house. She got that flat pretty quickly, I must say. She got her like.
I mean, it's social housing, right?
Reg Cox has only been dead for like 4 days.
That is true, actually. I didn't realise that. He's been dead for about 4 days. The chair's still in the fucking house, and she just has to live there now.
like, no. Like, I understand they didn't think about that. Like, it's literally like, oh, fuck, he's dead. Well, this house is up on market. Fucking buy it now, lads.
Yeah, it's social housing. That's like she got put somewhere, so she has to fucking go there. And obviously she struggles because Regcock died there. And Sue mentioned it briefly, and like she eventually had to know, like, oh shit, like she starts having night terrors, thinking how like Regcock was brutally murdered, like blood and guts everywhere. I know it's only till Dr. Leg comes and sees Annie, like, he didn't die here, he died in hospital. It's fine. Like, it's nothing to worry about. It's just, because obviously, be pretty scary. You're alone in the world. You got nothing comforting except your baby, and like, someone got murdered in your flat about 3 days ago. Like, I'm not surprised she's got night terrors.
Like, I just love in the fact that, like, fuck him, he's dead. What will we do? We know what we do. We'll redo the flat and put a bed in. All right. They didn't get rid of the chair.
No.
They got there pretty quick, I must say. Like, could you imagine that? Like, could you imagine like if we got a flat together and like they're like, oh yeah, by the way, 5 people were murdered here 2 days ago.
Sound? Why? Yeah, I couldn't be dealing with that at all.
Obviously this leads to our breakdown. We're living in a drug den house, in a flat, I should say.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it's not a drug den. It is. He was literally, that flat was a drug den.
I mean, he's an alcoholic. He's not. Are technically drugs, but it's not really a drug den.
Well, he was killed by drugs, so I'm going to say it's a drug den, alright? You can call it an alcoholic flat.
What do you mean What do you mean you got killed by drugs? He got beat up by Nick?
Well, I thought he injected him with heroin.
No. That's how Nick dies. Nick dies in the same spot as Reg Cox, as Doc gives him some infected or what am I trying to say? Like spiked heroin, but he was beaten to death by Nick.
Oh,
so
sorry.
It's like the it mirrored the way that Reg died, how Nick died, but it's similar. So it's
Isn't that Karen Taylor's flat now?
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Depends if it's the upstairs or the downstairs. It is the upstairs. Yeah. Carry on.
The more you know. Obviously, this now leads to Mary wanting a job. Gonna say, being a single woman in the 80s, raising a child, getting a job is gonna be very hard because a lot of people are gonna be sexist to you. Let's be honest. I'll give you a job, but you'll have to give me a job in return. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously second wave feminism, I'm pretty sure that was started in the 70s. It was a little bit more, but it wasn't, still a lot of sexism, a lot of discrimination. And obviously not many opportunities for a single mum who's semi-literate, can barely read or write, and is a nervous wreck. So I suppose this would obviously lead to some slightly dodgy work. And Piggy, I'll give you some advice. If Nick Cotton says, I've got a job for you, you say, oh, no. Sorry, Nick, I've just got to go get my wallet. Fucking sprint away from that shit again. Why'd you keep running away from me? Oh, just really need my wallet, man. Fucking. Oh.
And basically, Mary becomes Mary the whore. Not really a whore.
Sorry.
To use 80 terms. Basically, Nick goes, yeah, I gotta get this job. And then Ethel's pretty much like, yeah, you're gonna have to sell your body. That's what he's basically making you do.
The funniest bit about this scene and how ridiculous it is it cuts to the car that Nick's in, and this man's a full-on pimp. He's got like a fucking, like, those jackets with all like the fur. He's got like slicked back hair. He's got a like a jeweled up earring. He's got slicked back hair. This man's the pimpiest pimp that's ever pimped. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Oh, it was so funny. Like, it's just, there was a lot of good quips in this week's show as well. Like, I buckled a lot. But yeah, I suppose the most interesting bit, and it's going to lead to another standalone video at some point that I do want to make. I'll tell you off camera. Ethel takes a bit of an interest in Mary. Because, you know, she's a vulnerable girl. People try to take advantage of her. As well as Dr. Legg. Dr. Legg also, you know, wants to help out Mary. Which will spur on someone who we like particularly much to help her out as well. But yeah, it was just like... okay, imagine this. I'm Nick. Alright, I'm Nick, you be Ethel. Just generally, this is how it went. Just Nick's like, oh yeah, I got you a job, you know, doing this and that, and then Ethel would be like,
he's gonna make you sell your body, like he's gonna make you sell your body. And then
nah, just bits and bobs, like bits and bobs. Not gonna be doing that much. Just a bit of entertaining.
He's gonna make you sell your body. I want to get that job. He's gonna make you sell your body. That's basically it.
Yeah, just... oh, it's so ridiculous, but I love it. It's that thing that people just look out for each other. And it's very fun. Because people try to fuck you over. Willie was probably with her. Probably. Mate, Willie had scared Nick off. That's all I'm saying.
Like, I was doing research.
He hits him with a fucking stink eye. Like the one in your profile picture, and Nick's like, fucking hell!
But bombastic side eye. Mate, when I was Googling Willie the Pug, when I was Googling him, it buckled me. They were like, yeah, so he dies on the 14th of May, 1992, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes 2 weeks later and 2 days, he dies in real life. And I'm like, oh, man took the job too far. Like, he was fucking drinking.
Mate, he was a method actor. That's quite harsh, but still. I mean, he was on the show for what, like 8 years or something?
Yeah.
Did Ethel ever get another dog?
They gave her a second dog, but she's like, no one can replace my Willie.
Yeah, they can. Well, the thing about Willie is obviously Willie's named after her late husband, William, who fought in the war. So it's kind of like a nice little, like, you know, it would have been fun. Like, obviously, just for the, like, EastEnders virgins like us. But I would have loved to have seen, like, Ethel when she was younger, and, like, Dot, and, like, Pat.
We kind of do. There is an episode. I'll have to get the name of it. You'll have to give me 1 sec. You'll have to give me 1 second if you don't mind waiting.
Of course.
I
remember there's an episode with young Dot. I don't remember there being one with young Ethel.
I'll have to Google it. I'm just going to Google Luby because I...
Oh yeah, there is an episode where she's seen as younger. Civvy Street.
Civvy Street is the name of it.
Oh, okay. Civvy Street's a spin-off episode of EastEnders, broadcast on the 26th of December 1988. It's set in Christmas 1942. Lou Beale and her husband Albert are celebrating their marriage in Walford and planning a happy life together when war is declared. Albert is conscripted into the army, leaving Lou and her 3 children, Kenny Beale, Harry Beale, and Ronnie Beale behind. Lou's family rally around her mother and sister Flo, and her friends including young Ethel, Oh, Reg Cox as well. And landlords Ray and Lil to keep her company. Lou worries that Albert will not return from war intact, and the episode sees her propositioned by Richard in his absence. She stays faithful and she and Albert are returned. And Ethel's parents are killed by an enemy bomb while she is sheltering with Lou in Walford East Tube Station. Ethel is also torn between the amorous advances of Gi and her admirer, William Skinner, obviously that being her William. That's cool. I will happily, if we can find this anywhere, I'll do a little bonus episode on it.
This will be a Christmas idea that will come to life. I believe it's on our legal website. I'll have a look very quickly, if you don't mind me having a look.
Sure.
It's a 1988.
Yes. That's really cool, honestly. I look forward to this, if we ever do it, of course.
When was it aired? The 26th?
26th December 1988.
I don't think so.
Regardless. Oh, essentially, what we were talking about is just... well, it's just people looking after each other. Because, you know, they had to be there through the war. It was a hard time. Like, you know, you see stuff that you don't want to see. You have to deal with stuff you don't want to do. It's not a good time for anyone. So, yeah, I kind of completely lost track of everything. Where are we at, Biggie?
So basically, yeah, Mary is selling her body. Well, pimping her body out. Ethel is making friends with her. Willie is giving stink eye to... Well, he's not giving stink eye, but he would be, if he could, he would be giving old dirty dick. No, I said Nick.
Dirty dick. God. That's a nickname.
Well, I don't know what's worse, me saying dirty Nick or me saying, you know, I'm fascinated with the concept of space.
yes, lovely.
Dirty Dick Cotton. Yeah, obviously he's giving the eye to Dirty Dick. But yeah, so I think we've said all we want about Mary the Punk. So let's move on to our final two topics, which is Tony Carpenter's brush against the law and Tony Carpenter and his skip with the police officer, which he loses because it's the 80s and he's black. So. Welcome back. Oh shit, sorry. Tony Carpenter. He's against the law. So why is he brush against the law? Well, Mark Fowler basically went, yeah, I found it in a skip. Did you, Mark? I did. I fucking found it in a skip. I promise, I found it in a skip. And then basically the policeman basically bangs on Tony Carpenter's door and he's sleeping in his van. So Tony goes out for a drive, for an old spinny winnie. And the following day, he comes back and he's like, "Hi, what you doing with my skip?" And the policeman's like, Look, we're investigating it. There is some nudie magazine, some nudie calendar as well. And I'm Rug. I think of Rug or a Matt. Might have been a Rug. So yeah, he's so confused. And basically, how can I describe it? Basically, the policeman interrogates Tony. Tony says he doesn't know what about the badge. He's only moved there, like. That would literally be like Ash questioning me who had the last donut, even though I've just moved in. I don't know where the donuts are. Like,
I see the packet in the bin. Yeah, it was you. Oh, what? No.
It's like when fucking Ash's girlfriend was like, "Oh, someone's spreading lies about me, Ash." Don't know who it is. Could have been anyone.
Couldn't have been me. Definitely was. Wasn't a girlfriend though. It was a situation chick.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, Tony is such. I love how they write Tony, because Tony's obviously he's a black man in the 80s. All right, he's had to work for everything he's had, and he fucking stands up for himself. Everything he does is above board and by the books. He ain't fucking risking it, 'cause he knows if he does, well, there's a lot of risk there. And obviously, the policeman decides that Tony's a person of interest and keeps hovering around. And we're introduced to his son, Kelvin, who wants to move in with Tony, doesn't want to be like moving with his, doesn't want to stay with his mum, because obviously they're getting divorced and there's like a big struggle there. Kelvin wants to move to the square. He's been chatting up both Sharon and Michelle. Not really in a kind of like dickish way, just kind of like just getting to know everyone. And yeah, Kelvin decides to buy some dodgy tools from Nick and brings them to Tony's flat just as the policeman arrives. And well, you got stolen goods there, Tony. You're a person of interest now. And Tony, even in the face of like potentially getting like charged, still just says, like, backs himself 100%, even just goes, you know what, Kelvin, if we stick together, we'll be fine. Just really fucking cool. Tony Carpenter's a character I would love to see like appear like now.
I would.
Like, imagine, like, just have him be mates with all the old people and have him bring back his, like, kids. So, yeah, it might be, like, 40 now, but that's fine. Like, but the main issue, he's not been fucking heard of in years. Essentially, as far as I remember, what am I trying to say? As far as I remember, he was... God, I'm trying to actually properly, like, remember this. Tony... Oh, God, I've fully just lost it. I was reading some more stuff on Wikipedia about Tony. He left the square and has never been seen again. Like, he's no even, like, things. I think Ian once said, like, oh, Tony's just, like, in the Caribbean or something, you know, like, Tony has never looked back. And, yeah, he just, in the flight of, like, the detective putting all of the, like, maybe it's definitely Tony. It's like, do you have any evidence? No.
No, I'm not saying it's because he's black. Like, it's not that. It's not that. But it is the 80s, lads. Like, come on. It could hardly be a white guy. Like, come on. We do nothing wrong. Come on. Like, okay, hold it here. Slavery, Hitler. I can't think of any others. Murders. So, you know, like, obviously he can't be a white person. But obviously it's the 80s, so it has to be the black guy.
Yeah, it's, you know,
it's the 80s.
a lot of people who aren't white are discriminated against in the 80s. A lot of people just have to face a lot of casual, of course. You know, a lot of people have to face a lot more like casual racism, like Ali and the Calf, Turkish, faced with a lot of like abuse, you know. Tony, obviously, Nick calls him a savage. Savages, a lot of you, half you can't talk. And your son, he's just going to go to prison like the rest of them. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Nick. Abuse towards the Saeed and Naima, the corner shop owners. It's just, it's unfortunately just part and parcel of the time. But yeah, Tony, we introduced to his son. His son will play, as we said earlier, fairly large part in this year. Well, at least a little bit. He's not super large. Obviously not as large as Michelle, but like he definitely got a boost from Mark Fowler disappearing. But yeah, anything else to say about Tony, you reckon?
No, not much we can say about Tony. I do wish his son comes back, unless his son is in the square.
No. I don't think we've seen... Kelvin left a little bit later, but he didn't stay on too long. As far as I remember. Yeah, he left in 87.
Oh.
But he did leave to go to uni, so, you know. Would love to. Yeah, essentially he left because he wanted to be like a singer or a dancer, you know. But yeah, current as of 2019 was working as the vice president of unscripted current series at Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Obviously, Dan Schneider did nothing wrong, lads.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah, what's next then? Come on. Keep it rolling.
That's it. That is all.
That's it.
Yes.
Holy fuck.
Well, I can mention like, fucking.
We can do Dan and Angie's stuff.
Yeah, Dan and Angie. Basically, the last point. Dan and Angie. Basically. Oh, what the fuck's his name? Something Beale. What is his name? Pete Beale basically says, yeah. Got a motor for you. I got a motor for you. And basically, Dan's like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. Wink, wink. And
yeah, I guess I'll have to go and see this motor then. Bloody hell.
And then basically he goes out, he gets pissed drunk, he gets pegged and comes back pissed drunk. And
obviously
yeah,
he goes to see his mistress, Jan. Not in the sexy way, in the affair kind of way.
Oh, I wish I was the sexy way.
All right, calm it down, you.
Put your finger in your mouth, Leslie. Come on, back off. Come on, you fucker, come on.
All right, but I suppose you want to send us to the final thoughts section, Piggy.
Hold on. Imagine that's what the mistress just kept telling him to do, and that's why he got caught out. Put your finger in your mouth, you dirty little bastard. Flash that image up.
No.
Fucking do it.
But yes, carry on.
A final thought. What is your final thought? Did you love this week? Did you not love this week? It's the second week of EastEnders. Ever.
It is. I thought it was pretty good, honestly. I think, because obviously the first episode has to introduce everybody to like 10 to 24 different characters, you know? So, you know, we're now a bit more familiar with a lot of them. And I laughed a lot this week. It was a really funny week for EastEnders. And just a lot of fun, because I look at this and like, how much has really happened? It's mostly just family drama at this point. Oh, fucking Lou Beale's going on holiday. She says she doesn't want to go, but she does. Or, oh, Mark Fowler's getting investigated, and so is Tony. And Den is trying to play away, but Angie fully knows. Like, there's just a lot. It feels a lot lighter, even if we're kind of tackling some darker topics. So, a fantastic week for EastEnders. I'll say that much for sure. Yourself, what are your thoughts on this week, Piggy?
Give me 1 second. That was lovely tea. My thoughts on EastEnders was, it was a great week. It was fun week. A lot of things happened, of course. Dirty Dan got his dirty knob out with his mistress. Tony Carpenter got discriminated against because Ba-da-ba-bum. It's the 80s. Um,
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
it's the 80s. Of course, Matt Fowler obviously ran in trouble with the law because he gave a Nazi badge to Lochte, which I'm still laughing at. Like, imagine like being so proud of your Nazi badge. In the
Honestly, it's so strange.
'Cause that would be like me going around with a Chris Benoit shirt, like proud as hell, like, massive, like the massive shirt that just says "Toothless Aggression" on it, like.
Jesus. Just like without any of the fucking tact, you know, just completely like tonally dead.
Or if people want a modern wrestling example, going around with a Jimmy Snuka shirt, like, or a Marty Scurll shirt, like,
Yeah.
just completely ignoring the fact that it's morally wrong.
Yes.
Love that.
So obviously this week has been the formation of your crush of Michelle Fowler.
Yeah.
No, I just track that one. See how we're all crushed on of classic EastEnders.
You're crushing on.
Mate, I'm crushing on everyone on EastEnders. It's ridiculous.
You're crushing on Lou Beale.
Oh mate, honestly, she hell of a woman. Hell of a woman.
You want to see her in a bikini, don't you?
I wouldn't be worthy.
Be hard to see her in a bikini now.
Sound.
Yeah, we still haven't got the major character yet, Doc Cotton.
Yeah, no, she's not going to be around for a couple more months yet, so we're still building. I suppose we can do some awards as well.
All right.
Not all of them, as we suggested. Usually on the podcast we do a bit more, but I think we settled for underrated character. And who needs slapping down, I think.
Yes.
Because we don't need an award to say this is my favourite character, because I'd give it to Lou Beale every week. So Piggy, underrated character.
Kelvin.
Yeah. It's a good introduction for Kelvin, for sure. Like, you know, he's a bit naive, but obviously Tony's there, so he's going to guide him a bit more. But, like, Kelvin is a bit of the life, a bit of the youth, you know. Like, Den and Angie's a vet. Den's, like, mid-40s, you know. He's not a young man. So it's nice to see some of the younger, like, people. I'm obviously going to give it to Michelle Fowler. Because, fuck you. She didn't do much. She just got to say, "What? Me on holiday? You're taking the piss." I really love a lot of these characters. And I haven't even watched that much Classic EastEnders. I've watched about 6 months of it, but like, I love all of these characters. Even if some of them are just ball bags, I love them. I don't know why. There's just a lot of charm. They're well-crafted characters for the most part, which is what I really enjoy. And like they all have shit to do. It's not like oh, it's been a week and now suddenly it's just Den all the time, you know, like everyone's here. But what the other one is?
Who needs slapping down?
The detective.
I don't think the detective deserves slapping. Oh yeah, the detective does deserve slapping down.
He is just sniffing. Tony, this came from your skip, and Tony's like, yeah, it's my. I'll just pay for it. I don't dump all the shit. That's not all mine. And he's like, well, I'll see. I can't have him slapping down though, because honestly, the guy played it in like really campy but really funny. Because just he's like, yeah, but I'm making the demands here. Just like all of the like police one-liners came out of this guy, and I do like him. I think he's a genuinely charming detective. It's just, you know, most of the like detectives don't really last too long on the show because they usually will end up being corrupt, which is funny. Mostly towards the Mitchells, or against the Mitchells rather. Slapping down. Poor. But I like all the characters, Piggy.
Then you can just put a null and void.
I'm not gonna slap down anyone, but I'm gonna go for someone who's actually underrated. I'm gonna go for the social worker, for Mary. I just think she did a really cool role. Obviously explained how, like, you know, the social system's kind of a bit busted. You can't you want to help, but you can only help so much. I hope we see her a little bit more. I don't remember her name, but she was pretty cool. The social worker for Mary. Actually, I know who gets slapping down. Sue. The cafe worker, because she just can't not shut the fuck up. Could you just stop yelling at everyone, please? But as we'll later understand, she is something of a tragic character in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So, Piggy, hand it back to you.
That is all. Give me a second. That is all. So yeah, I've been Piggy from Watching Walford. Follow us on X at Watching Walford. Follow us on Instagram at Watching Walford. Follow us on Twitch at Watching Walford. Follow us on subscribe to us on YouTube. We're now on the road to 200.
Exactly.
We might have already hit 200 by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
So we're on the road to 300 if we've hit 200.
Exactly. 1 million on the way.
1 million in the bank, please.
Please.
We could use it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, you want to follow Ash? Follow him at Aqua Dreams.
Real Aqua Dreams on Twitter.
On X and at Aqua Dreams on Twitch. Yes. He streams every Saturday at the time of recording.
Yes.
He streams more Saturdays, I should say. Yeah, so yeah. Anything you want to say?
No, it's just obviously not sure how the schedule's going to work for this, all dated obviously, but if you do like the classic EastEnders, do make sure to tell us, because it's something we're enjoying and it would be nice to see that sort of thing reciprocated. And if you do like the new style of mostly just us just talking with very few images, you know, maybe tell us too. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, join us next time, lads. Bye-bye.